Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the feature news for today, 5th of January 2021. Today's feature news is on All India Judicial Services, the problems and its prospects. This is a very important theme considering the kind of Indian polity, the situation of judiciary in our country, the performance of lower judiciary and how it can be revamped, right? So the central government has proposed the initiation of All India Judicial Services, something on the lines of All India Civil Services, All India Services, right, which is a part of Article 312 of the Indian Constitution. What they want is to conduct a centralized exam through which there will be cadres in which the judicial officers will be posted, right, in the lower judiciary. Now, presently, the system is right now running under State Commission, State Public Service Commission, right, Judiciary, and alongside the high courts. These are the ways in which the current level of admission, recruitment to lower judiciary happens at different levels. We will study them, but the central government wants to centralize this process, says that the things will be uniform, they will be more streamlined, there will be regular examinations, there will be a lot of benefits to it. But there are prospects, there are some issues as well. Let us discuss all of them one by one, right? So your inputs are most welcome here. Let me welcome all of you here. Hi Asim, good evening Ravi, good evening Anonymous, hi Spider-Man, good evening Ashish, hi Babani, hello Amlan, hello Netra, welcome to all of you and welcome all the other people who are present, watching offline and people who are not participating in conversations. No worries, but still we will learn with each other, right? So before we get on to this, let me show you a quick structure of the judiciary in our country, right? So when you look at this structure, Supreme Court is at the position of, is at the topmost position in the integrated judiciary in our country, right? Our judiciary is integrated with each other, right? So Supreme Court at the top, and then we have high courts, and then we have district courts and the lower courts, right? Lower courts, the word should not demean the courts which are present at the lower levels, but yes, the word given is lower courts, right? Now, there have been various amendments that have been proposed, right? One of them is how the judges should be selected at the Supreme Court level. Questions have been raised there. We have also studied of an intermediate level court between Supreme Court and High Court, the Court of Appeal. Do you remember that we had discussed? We had also discussed the structure in the issue of judicial infrastructure at courts level and the formation of Judicial Infrastructure Commission. Now, this article also should be put in the same regard, in the same place. This update must be put there itself, where we are talking of institution of All India Judicial Services, right? Now, presently, this integrated judiciary that we have, Supreme Court is at the top, and then we have High Court, various high courts at various state levels and its benches, and then we have District and Sessions Court. When the district and session court exists in a city area, in a more urban area, it is called as a metropolitan court, right? So the same court will be called as a metropolitan court in a city area. And district and session courts, right? So they will have two kinds of cases, civil or litigations, civil cases, right? And then we have criminal cases. When the court deals with criminal cases or the judge deals with criminal cases, they are called as part of being a sessions court, and the other one is a district court or sub court. This is how the hierarchy flows. Now, the selection of judges in the lower judiciary is something that is a part of the state government or the high courts, right? They hold the exam. State Public Service Commission holds the exam as of now. Now, they hold exam at two levels. One level is the one which is at the lowermost level, right? So this is the level at which one of the examination is held, and the other one is where examination is held directly at the district level, right? District level of judges. So one level is the lowermost. After promotion, they come to this level, and the other level where examination is held is the level of district judges. Now, both of them are under the state government. The only difference between the second one and the first one is that people have to have more experience. Even advocates can become a part by appearing in the exam, clearing, but they need to have 7 years of minimum work experience, right? And here, anybody who has completed their law graduation can participate, right, at the lower level. So these are the two levels where lower judiciary selections are made. The exam is conducted by the state government. But when the state government conducts the exam, it is not as regular as the union government. You can see this example in UPSC exam itself. While UPSC conducts it every year, which are the states which are conducting it every year? They always lag. There are issues of corruption, there are issues of delays, and because of this issue in judiciary, there are as much as 20%, even more, of vacancies in the lower courts. Good fact for you. It's a part. It's mentioned in the in today's feature news as well. 19,000 people are appointed, and there are 24,000 vacancies. Hard to figure it out? No, it is because of the kind of the procedures that we follow. They delay the complete procedure of selection. Not only this, right now the number of judges which are in India, right, they are at around 19 in the population of 10 lakhs. So less than 20 in 10 lakhs of population. And what is recommended is to have at least 50 judges for 10 lakh population in the country. So not only that we are missing out on the the vacancies, we are also missing out on the proper proportion of judges. And to ramp it up, the central government says that let us allow us to conduct the examination. We will have a service in which the judicial officers will be sent to various states and they will operate. State says, and the high court say, so it has been recommended to various states. What is your opinion? This was a question asked in the parliament also. And what is the state doing? What is the government doing to initiate this process? The central government wants it, but various states and various high courts have differing opinions. Only 2 states have said, yes, we want it. But look at the cons of it. Look at the other side of it. The other side of it is that if a judicial officer who was from Kerala selected in All India Judicial Service, right? If they are made to go to a place like Bihar, and they do not understand the language very well, how will they be able to administer the judicial cases? This is where the government says, government has given a counter argument. Just like an IPS officer from Kerala can learn the language and go to Bihar and serve, why cannot a judicial officer also do the same? This is where the counter argument is again put and said that in cases of administration, there are various posts. Even if the person is not very well versed with the local language, they can be given some other work. The language work can be put aside and the person can work in English language in some other capacities or postings. There is no issue in that. But in case a judicial officer from Kerala is posted to Bihar, let me just give an example to you. If the person in Bihar, they say, hum murder wale jagah gaye the. Now, while that person wants to say that only they went to that particular place, hum in Bihari language translates to main. But in the Kerala judge will understand, little translation will make them understand there were quite a few people who had gone. See? So, language is a barrier when judicial administration is concerned. Because they have to directly deal with litigants, they have to deal with the local population. They cannot do any other kind of work. Judges have the direct work of dealing with the local population. Another example of this, don't people say, "Khoon ki nadiyan baha dunga." Khoon ki nadiyan baha dunga, right? This is a phrase in Hindi, right? But what it translates to for a person who has only learned the language is not the phrasal use of it. They will understand the literal meaning. So this is how people will not be able to understand the context in which the word was spoken. The local population would not know this, but it is to be known if you have to deliver proper justice to the people. The colloquial language, local language is important. So a language barrier will be there, right? There will be barriers like, for example, while administering justice, there are 2-3 principles that have to be taken care of. One is separation of power. Please remember this. Why? Separation of power is a part of basic structure of the constitution, right? And the other one is federal issue. This is very, very central to this particular issue, federal issue. Now, separation of power means that the legislature has some powers, the judiciary has some powers, and executive has some specific powers. Executive cannot come to judiciary's matter of domains and say, I will want to conduct the exam for you. No, judiciary doesn't want that. Judiciary is happy conducting its exam. It is happy holding the interviews. Why do you want to create a panel where where the limitations will be imposed on judiciary and there will be a panel doing this kind of work? Judiciary will handle its own work. So separation of power is must. This is a fundamental principle of the basic structure of the constitution. Another is federal issue. Federal means there is a division of power. There will be union government or union, Supreme Court power. There will be some powers for the state government or the high courts. There will be powers for the lower courts or lower administration. This is where the power that was given to the state government or the high courts, this power is getting transferred at a higher level. So this also impinges on the federal balance, right? States do not want it. Look at the example of Arunachal Pradesh. I actually saw this in the example of Arunachal and Nagaland. This was a part of the unstarred question in the parliament debates. And the answer that Arunachal has given is that the local population, their lifestyle, their culture, it is something that only locals can understand. A person who is coming from outside the state or from farther places, they will not be able to understand the culture and deliver justice. This is very much justified. So this is what is some of the counter arguments to placing a national level All India Judicial Service, right? So I hope you have understood some of the important context, right, of this conversation. Right? Let me see if there are comments here. Hi Hima, hi Ravi, hi Asim. Asim says whose population is more than 10 lakh city is Metropolitan Court. Okay, thank you. Same goes with UPSC, Ravi says. Okay, great. So this is a proposal by the central government, right? There are provisions in the constitution which can lay down the All India Judicial Services under Article 312, but there are provisions in the constitutions which speak that it should be the High Court which should be handling the recruitment of judges at the lower levels, right? So when I showed you this particular image, I would like you to show this, see this part. Right now, the civil judge, junior division, the junior civil judge and the district court judge, these are the two places where entrants in judiciary can find a place, right, through examination, competitive examination. And here there is the criteria of 7 years of work experience as an advocate. For high courts, a decent number of people are selected from the lower judiciary. Around 1/3 are selected from the lower judiciary. And then it is for the collegium to select people from high court, persons of eminence in Supreme Court, or transfer people from one high court to the other, or to escalate them to Supreme Court, right? But this is the place where they can get selected competitively. Now, should we administer this at the state level only, or should we pass on this power to the government, central government? Central government says that this will increase the representation of women. Central government says that we will ensure that there is adequate representation of all the communities, OBCs, SCs and STs. Presently, OBC have only around 12% population in the judges in India, in our whole country. There are places where we do not have lower classes judges in particular states only. A good example of this is Madras High Court. Hardly anybody as persons from lower caste in those places. Now this is where the central government says that we will provide adequate representation in the lower courts as well, because we will conduct the exam regularly, because we will keep posting officers at the places regularly, right? We will also ensure, the central government says, that there will be a parity maintained in the remunerations and salary. Ek hi system hoga, there will be one system and one salary. So right now, example to this, whatever you're saying, I'm saying, is parallel to it. There are issues in the UPSC and state PSCs also. So in Assam, if you get selected as SDM, right, Assistant Commissioner SDM, that means Assam Civil Services, the salary is hardly 50,000 that you pick up. Similarly, in Bihar, if you get posted as a DSP, the first salary drawn is just around 55,000 rupees. Around, not exact figures, but you get posted in another place, right? Another city, another state, the salary will be 70,000 rupees. This disparity is what the government wants to remove in judicial administration, right? But it has got its cons, right? The states say that instead of you saying that you are going to initiate more parity, this will lead to less parity. When people from outside the state are representing that high court, see, because some people get promoted from district courts to high court. When people from outside the state get represented, the actual people from that state will not get represented. This is what is the contention of many of the states. Only 2 states have given the permission. Many high courts also do refuse. But what is the stand of Supreme Court? Supreme Court says that we need a centralized administration for delivering this kind of service, right, to the country. Okay. So in this context, there's a timeline that we have presented here on the right side. It talks about how the demand for the All India Judicial Service, it increased with time. Law commissions and various other reports, they suggested that there be a integrated judicial service, right? So 1958, this is where it started, and this is where the demand has come to right now, right? This is the contention of Ministry of Law and Justice. They talk about representation, social inclusion of people. This is one. Note the fact, only 12% of judges in lower judiciary are OBCs in 2018 report, right? SC/ST also less represented. Gender composition is very small, right? So till now, we have never had a Supreme Court Chief Justice. We have had Supreme Court judges as females, but Chief Justice none till now as women, right? And very similar is the representation in the lower courts also. Fewer women. Gender composition is very much less. Only 30% women judges in the lower courts. Whereas our Chief Justice, the Chief Justice of India, he always speaks of 50% representation of women in judiciary. 50% is what they speak of Chief Justice C.V. Ramna, right? There are vacancies. These vacancies can be fulfilled through a centralized examination. Now, this is a very similar case of NEET examination, right? NEET, a centralized examination or a state level examination. What do you want? This is the comparison which states are right now posing because of federal issues, because of structural issues like the centralization of power, like the principle of separation of power. On the other hand, center is giving different kind of benefits for a uniform structure, right? These are the prime differences that both the systems have, and we are caught up in the debates only right now, right? Right now, we have 4 crore plus pending cases, most of them with the lower courts only. And with increasing population, we will have requirement of more judges. We will need them to get recruited faster. If the states do not follow up, the center will have to do something on this, right? But it might have to, impinge on the rights of states. So what are the challenges? Challenges to federal structure, right? The center will impose some laws for newer judges to be installed, right? So the states and high courts which were conducting examinations, now there will be a different commission which will be holding the examination. Right? This is one concern. Then the language and representation concern, I mentioned. Bihar ka example bhi diya, right? Example of representation bhi diya. Right? Example of the local custom and culture also, Arunachal Pradesh. This is not only an example, this is what Arunachal has written when the parliament did seek a reply, when the state government, national government did seek a reply, right? It is again separation of powers, structural issues here. So these are the keywords that you will use while you talk about this issue. Now do remember, this is one of the issues of handling the judicial structure, right? There are other issues also. For example, infrastructure issue, as I mentioned, or the court of appeal, all should be there at the same place. Judicial reform bola na, so put these 4 things as a point. And if it comes on to judicial, this particular body itself, then you have all the answers here. This is what I want you to do, to put all these entities at one place, right? So this is a part of polity, judiciary. This is how you will simplify your current affairs preparation. All right. What is judiciary's view on All India Judicial Services? So judiciary initially, it wanted that there should be some place where centralized, structure should be created. Central selection mechanism. Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance of the issue of appointment of district judges and mooted as central selection mechanism, right? And then we also had one of the persons who was appointed by Supreme Court to look into it. They said that can we have the examination conducted by the central government, right? But when it comes to their final interview, they can be conducted by a panel of judges which are retired judges and some serving judges. Why not? We can do this. So here center government is also not ruling, but you have a body superstructure which is actually going to hold interviews, judiciary body only. But here again we are creating a structure which will be having excessive power with itself. It will not be decentralized. See, so problem hi problem, kya solution? This is where the debate lies right now. All right. So I have explained to you all the parts of it. right? So presently, some of the articles in the constitution, they point out that directly the state government which should be responsible for appointment, transfer and removal of district judges. See, provision under article 233, 234 and 235. On the other hand, 312 says that we can also institute an all India service, right? So these are, you know, quasi opposite to each other, right? This is where the debate lies. What should be done about the national judicial service, right? So this is the particular debate. This is what we have presented here, and to share with you what we studied quickly here is national judicial this particular entity that we are talking of, right? Service, and in that we studied the data. First of all, the data, for example, the presence of vacancies, 20% vacancies, right? The judges to population ratio in the lower courts. There are 2-3 data that we studied. We also studied the reason for which central government is forcing for a central body for the judicial services, right? Then we also studied the various reasons that it gave. What kind of representation does it want amongst people, right? Regularity of exams, institution of filling of vacancies. What are the counter arguments that the states and various judiciaries, state government or state high courts have provided? Counter arguments become more important because they seem to be more rational, they seem to be more constitutional. So whenever a question comes, we will not be only presenting one side of the story, we will also highlight the kind of disparity that is existent in the state level or low judiciary. We will also rationalize this point, the major point, with presenting the counterpoint. And then we can also provide a solution in the way that we can have a commission, a National Judicial Commission, which can hold the interviews, right? And this is where you could end the answer. So we studied various parts, some data about it, some pros, prospects of this particular body, the issues that are associated, and what could be the wisdom towards it, right? So this is how we have studied this particular article. The question for today is, judicial independence and federal challenges are two key concerns among others which may restrict the intended benefits of envisaged All India Judicial Service. What are they? Judicial independence and federal challenge. These are the two challenges, judicial independence and federal challenge. So question mein hi answer hai, dekho question mein hi, and it says critically discuss both of them, right? Critically discuss that these are the two challenges amongst others, not that you will not be presenting the other challenges of language, culture, various other barriers, but judicial independence and the federal challenge. So when you talk about both of them, no, present the articles of the constitution, right? This is how your answer will get completed. Will give you more credibility in your answers, and you will also speak about the other issues that that are there. Along with that, last paragraph, one paragraph could be there on the benefits as well. Some benefits can be provided, although there are certain benefits associated, yet there should be a balance of the principle, and you could end up talking about the National Judicial Commission, which could finally take the things in its own control, right? So this is how we understand a technical topic like this one, All India Judicial Services, right? Let me look at some questions. So we have Asim, Ganesh. Good evening, Ganesh. Asim says, don't you think when government says low representation of women in judiciary, then what about parliament and UPSC? Yes, absolutely valid question. When for example, let me give you another example. When the government said that it wants to increase the age of participation of women in marriages from 18 to 21 so that they give more rights, what about the issue of marital rape? Why do you not discuss those things on which the whole parliament has the same opinion, the whole country has the same opinion? This is what I want to point to you people, that we will be sane. While we present answers, we will present with sanity the rational points in pros and in cons, and we will take the neutral side towards the end, depending on what the question wants. When it wants us to critically look at it, we will look at the critical aspects of both the sides and present a balanced judgment. When we want to elaborate, we will only elaborate. We will not criticize as much, right, Asim? So yes, this is why I want your opinions to come up now, right? And not that I understand your opinion, but this opinion you cannot put in the examination. All you can do is write down the point that, because these kind of questions won't come, right? That the government is not questioning the presence of women in parliament and UPSC, but it is questioning the one in judiciary. It won't ask question like this. It will never. Therefore, we should be centered. We should not get disturbed about the political debates. We should get into the polity, the root of the cause. We should understand why people are talking in that particular manner, but we will not be talking in that manner, right? Our focus will be, as a leader, be responsible for all the people who are working with us. And in that capacity, more responsibility, more power, and more of democracy. So this is how we deal with a question like this, right? So if you like this effort, do share some love on us through likes, comments, and shares. You subscribe to the channel, you will receive timely updates. And there are questions, there are ways in which you want to recommend things to us. Please do that. We are most welcome. People who are watching offline, please type in your comments. I'm still waiting for some of you talking about what are your goals for this year, what are your the achievements and resolutions for this year. I will note them down and I will personally get back to you. I assure you that. So thank you for being a part. Thank you for participating in this discussion. Thank you, Bhabani. Thank you, Amlan. Good night to all of you. I will see you tomorrow evening again for current affairs and gather. Asim, thank you very much. Thank you, Netra. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Hima. For God's sake, please prepare quick notes. Otherwise, your efforts of participation, that will get reduced. Thank you, Anonymous. Please prepare notes, right? Quick notes. It will take you 2 minutes. Your mind is working around this article right now. It is not working around James Webb Telescope that we discussed 4 days back. It is not working around the article that we covered 5 days back. It is working right now. So quickly do this work, 2 minutes, and it will save a lot of efforts in the future, right? Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for the participation. And this is the 0.01 extra that I'm talking of. 1 will become 600 after a year if you do this. Okay. So thank you. And I will see you tomorrow evening. Good night, Ravi. Good night, everybody.